Joining us now to discuss the anticipated reshuffling and the president's cabinet is Professor Adeniyi, a Rise analyst. Very warm welcome to Newsnight, Prof.
Thank you. Good evening, Christian.
You don't find anything ululating about that there's going to be a cabinet reshuffle just barely a year after the team came on board, the largest cabinet in the history of governance in Nigeria. How would you even first, rate their performance, aggregate it, and signpost it with the president's performance?
Well, it could be one of many things, Christian. It's, at the moment, it's about opinion flying around, conflicting, many of them conflicting. And we just had the Minister of Communication also expressing his own. He's just saying his mind, just like I'm going to say mine now. Nobody can actually tell apart from the president himself. Nobody knows nobody takes charge, or nobody is really in control of cabinet reshuffle other than the president himself. But what we do expect as a people is a reshuffle that is merit-driven, a reshuffling that will probably inject more technocracy, more expertise, and of course, more personnel, individuals that will be performance and productivity-driven, so that we can see actual improvement in the standard of living of the people, people with ideas, and not just people with ideas, but people that are ready to drive those ideas, for meaningful achievement and legacy, as the case could be. There are so many reasons. The suspicion, like Alhaji Buba Galadima also said, is that at the end of the day, it might just be a reshuffle for political reasons, because there are people who are out there who felt shortchanged on account of their losing out in the last battle, in the last ministerial battle, and they think it's also time, after 1.5 years or so, for them to also get a bite of the cherry. So they might have been pushing the president, they might have been pressuring the president.
So we just might be having, the reshuffling of the cabinet every year then. So that people can really have a bite of the cherry.
Which is very, very inappropriate. Cabinet reshuffle should actually be performance-driven, ordinarily, not just something that you do for the sake of it or to satisfy the cravings, the desires of people who feel shortchanged, by a last cabinet, by the last constitution of the cabinet, as the case could be.
Yeah.
But sometimes you also think that people often agitate for cabinet reshuffle because they just enjoy the buzz around it, the distraction it can cause, stimulates the political environment. And you're also looking to see if somebody that you know, or somebody that knows somebody that you know, or somebody whose name you are familiar with is in the cabinet. Then your hope is raised again that this time around you probably know somebody in government who can help you on account of the failure of institutions where we rely only on people that we know that could help us. I think it's a wrong development approach, really, because we should be mindful. We should be much more concerned about institutions rather than individuals. And it leads us to the question about whether cabinet reshuffle can also trigger any form of development, because this is just about individuals. Individuals that may or may not be rubbing off on institutions. And of course, when they come like that, when we have that kind of situation, we should rather be mindful of the system rather than the individuals. If individuals are not strengthening the system, the institutions, they were not developing at all.
If they meet a strengthened system, there's no way they are going to weaken the system.
There's no way they cannot. Yeah, they cannot. You are very right. So it's about strengthening the system, the institution, rather than individuals. But the culture we have is one where individuals assume the role of institutions, whether they are powerful in the private sector or in the public sector. But in this case, we have very powerful individuals becoming ministers, or they become powerful after becoming ministers at the expense of institutions. And of course, because of the system they also meet, it's not their fault anyway, but because of the system they also meet, they now just continue in the way they have met it, and trying to do their best to satisfy their own people, their own constituents, and in some cases, to also help themselves with the till. Not in all cases anyway, because even in this administration, we have seen ministers who have been very outstanding, who have been shining lights of the administration. Yeah, but the argument we are making here is that we should have more of them that are shining lights, than less of them that we are presently having.
That are drawing the president's renewed hope agenda back, you know. So and the president even said, look, go out there and talk to the public about my policies. But there are some ministers who have vowed, some who have even vowed that they will never come to arise to speak. Let's look at agriculture, for example. What copious, you know, value addition has the Minister of Agriculture brought to bear on the people of Nigeria? There's hunger everywhere, isn't it? Can that... no, sorry, okay, I'm coming. I'm bringing it sector by sector. Okay. Agriculture. How would you score agriculture in today's Nigeria? When Nigerians are hungry, they can feed. 2, works and housing, infrastructural development. Where are the roads? And 3, power in Nigeria. 64 years of independence, Nigeria cannot generate more than 5,000 megawatts of electricity. 200, over 200 million Nigerians. Yes. No.
No, Christian,
where are we?
I understand your anger, your agitation, you know, and maybe, you know, your anger, so to say.
No, I'm not angry.
No, your agitation, rather.
Yeah, I mean,
you know,
it's the people's own agitation. Yeah.
But to be fair, 1.5 years in government, they are ministers, they are individuals, they are individuals that met a situation, you know, that has existed long before they came into power. You know, what miracle do you want them to perform, you know, just 1.5 years in government? What change can they drive? And do not forget, these ministers are just, they are delegates, you know, the person that bears the power is actually the president, and they are just delegates working for the president, you know, so the chief driver should actually
have the powers of the president.
Yeah, they have the powers of the president, but do you probably think that there's enough synergy, or do you probably also think that they have the right idea, enough idea, you know, to implement, you know, the desired plan towards the realization of some of the expected outcomes that you highlighted, as the case could be? To what extent are you sure that they actually have it? And that's the suspicion everywhere that the cabinet, yes, we have some outstanding ones. Some of them are competent, no doubt. We cannot tie all of them with the same brush. But a lot of them, you can ask questions around their competence. You know, appointment in the last year, some of them were actually driven by political consideration. And I made the argument the other day that that's the bane of our democracy, the bane of our development. You know, where politics is weaved around loyalty, around reward, around compensation, rather than merit. You know, if it is much more merit-driven, if the intended cabinet reshuffle is merit-driven, of course, the populace will be happy. You know, I remember Anokunjo-Iweala as minister in this country, and Akinwumi Adesina as a minister in this country.
Agriculture,
yeah, and some other names that you can mention. And of course, I remember some major other agency heads. The last resource person you brought here, Abakaka, you know, talked about Nuhu Ribadu. You can't forget Nuhu Ribadu as EFCC.
Not in a hurry.
Yeah, they're not in a hurry, chairman. You can't also forget
the man who brought his late boss down.
Absolutely. You can't also forget Nasir El-Rufai as Minister of FCT. Of course, we know what the present minister is also doing, challenging the record of El-Rufai. But we're all happy about it. And that's the point we're also making, that it will be gratifying to their legacy, you know, if they privilege performance over self-aggrandizement. You know, but it's not also enough. The glory shouldn't be in their coming to talk about it, you know. What's there? As a communications person, I can come and dress something in robes that are not original, that are not necessarily original. But of course,
the public are discerning enough to know. Yeah. If you come to address issues of development, there are practical things that they will see, that they will feel.
Absolutely.
So there's no way you're going to come and paintbrush, you know, an issue that is non-existent. If you tell me Lokoja Kaduna Road, you know, is an express road that will take me 2 hours to make, I'll tell you it's a lie.
But the other way
because it's there for you to see.
But the other way to look at it is that if there's nothing to talk about, why would they come and engage you on television?
And in 1.5 years, that means
if maybe
it's below par.
I mean, I'm just
below par.
Being a devil's advocate here.
Yeah,
perhaps
so the president is right to say, look, I want to rejig my cabinet.
Yeah, but he has not given us any reason. We just been told that there will be a rejig. And of course, we also do know that when they are rejigged, sometimes
not satisfied with the performances of some of them. Yeah,
we'll be glad if it's about performance and if it's not about politics, you know. But sometimes the ululation, that word you used earlier on, about cabinet reshuffle might actually be because you want to create some level of distraction or because you want to satisfy some pressure groups who think that their favorites are still out of government. But let's not forget the overarching thing that is much more important, that we need to strengthen the system. The institutions are not privileged and not prioritize individuals represented in the ministers.
You said so very copiously. Thanks so very much, Professor Abiodun Adeniyi, Arise analyst and Dean School of Postgraduate Studies, right? Based
You're
in
right.
Berkeley.
Thank you.